Welcome to the Code with Jason meetup. Today we're going to do a mentorship session um, with my new friend Srinath. And by the way, dear viewer, I do these mentorship sessions on and off. And you can, if you're interested in doing a session like this, you can go to codewithjason.com, my website, and there's a link at the top where you can it says mentorship or something, and there's a form where you can submit and participate in something like this yourself. Anyway, we're here with my new friend Srinath. Srinath, welcome. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thanks, Jason. So, hi guys, I'm Srinath. I'm based out of India. I've been writing code for close to what, 5, 6, 7 years now. I'm gonna skip the years I've done SRE work. So I've been writing Ruby on Rails, essentially code for the most of the time. I've worked on companies big and small. So I've seen things, and I'm here to get better at writing tests and planning for building things around that.
Yeah, great. Um, yeah, and is there anything specific you wanted to get into today? We can have a discussion, we can do some coding, however you want to spend the time.
Let's do a little bit of a discussion, then I think we can spend the rest of the time coding. Is that all
Okay,
right?
that sounds
Yeah.
good.
Now that as I mentioned, like maybe before the recording started, that I've been working on a greenfield app. It's something I'm building for my work. And whenever I build out features, I I think I think I plan it out the best I can, and then a feature it obviously changes, right?
Hmm.
And then how do I make it simpler for me so that it is easier to modify things? I mean, I'm excluding the situation where, of course, the complete feature went from video recording to audio recording, not that sort of thing, just a subtle change in direction. But your app should be able to plan for that. Like, how do you even go about doing that? That's a scenario I'm just trying to plan for or like build for.
Hmm.
What would you do for that?
So let me see if I understand the question. I think you're asking, how do you design your code so that when there's an unexpected change, your code is reasonably easy to change?
Like,
Okay. And the fact that you asked that question implies to me that right now you feel like your code is not as easy to change as it could be.
yeah, that plus I sometimes feel like I'm just because it's a small app, I have sometimes just like added and removed tables and moved things around without causing a lot of chaos because I get away with it because it's a small application. But I don't see that happening in, let's say, a 5-year-old application.
Mm-hmm.
Say for a bigger company, I don't think I'd be allowed to just knock off a couple of models, add in a view, and no one knows the better. So I was just trying to think what would happen if I was in that kind of situation.
Yeah, when an app is new, these changes are kind of low consequence. If you if you introduce a bug, it's not a huge deal, and there's just less stuff. It's not as easy to introduce like a show-stopping bug or something like that. Um, okay. And is there anything specific? Like are there any specific pains that you're feeling around changing your code when unexpected needs arise?
So, for example, I'll just give you some details. So think of it like in my app, right? We deal with call recordings. Okay. And in those call recordings, we essentially like save the transcript and do some processing analytics, etc., etc. So so sometimes I get a requirement where like, okay, we have to add these few things. So I am sometimes in a fix if that thing needs to go into its own model, or does that thing live in the existing model of call recordings?
Hmm.
It's not exactly a showstopper bug, but I am sometimes in, and I can do anything at that point because it's a very small app, right? So I can put it, I can put it in the place where it has the transcript, which is a separate table, or I can put it with the call recording. The attribute is valid for both the tables. It works. So I'm just trying to figure out how do you at least structure so that it seems more, what do you say, more reasonable, like the attribute is in the right place, or is it just by gut feeling do we take this call?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll preface all this by saying that this is a huge, complicated topic, and I think the answer is something that, you know, it's like I kind of have spent my whole career pursuing the answer to this question, how do we make changes easy? Um, so I'll preface by saying that. Um, and I'll say, well, let me ask a question first. Um, right now, I know you told me this a little bit before last time we talked, but like, how much testing are you doing on the app right now? How much TDD?
I have recently started back doing TDD because now I have a little more breathing room so that now I can do TDD and build out my features. But yeah, in TDD is let's just like I started doing it the last month. But that's before that it was all add code and get to tests later.
Okay. Okay. And do you have a level of test coverage where you feel like you can change basically anything and be confident that your tests will catch a regression?
You know, I'm
Okay.
still working around some things.
Yeah. Yeah, because to me, that's a big part of the answer. Like, I worked on this medical app for 4 years, and it was the only like serious production application that I have ever had complete control over. There were other people working on the app too, but I was their boss, and if I didn't like their code, I could just say I'm not going to merge it. Um, and on that app, I did TDD most of the time, and I ended up with pretty close to 100% test coverage. It was like 97 or 98%. Um, Not that I think test coverage is a good metric, by the way. I just checked out of curiosity. Um, but the test coverage was good enough that we could change basically anything and be confident that it wouldn't introduce serious regressions. And so, you know, the thing with designing an app is that you're never going to get the design right on the first try. And even if you do, reality is going to change over time and it's going to invalidate your previously good designs. I think there's a saying in architecture that all buildings are predictions and all predictions are wrong. Um, and inevitably, your predictions end up being wrong and you have to change things in order to reconcile them. But those changes aren't really possible unless there's good enough test coverage to make that like deep and broad refactoring possible. So that's part of my answer is like thorough test coverage. Obviously easier said than done. Um, Maybe I have more thoughts, but any reactions to that thought first of all?
I mean, yeah, that would essentially obviously be the first step because it would give me a little more confidence even if my design was going to be wrong. I would know when my design changes would break something. Like that, I think would be a good first step towards building out a good design. And also the fact that I probably should not push for the perfect design. Like that's probably not going to be possible. Like whatever I am planning for, and depending on how the business changes and how the requirements change, things are going to change. I'll probably have to be okay with that bit of things. But yes, test coverage will probably give me the confidence required to, even if bad design, I can make changes and I can figure out how things go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, and you said something about not worrying about the perfect design. I not only don't worry about the perfect design, I don't even try to make it good at all in the beginning because I know that if I drive the code with tests, then I'm free to separate into two steps. I want the code to fulfill its functional requirements, and then I also want the code to have good design so that I can understand it and change it. And tests allow me to split that into two completely separate tests. I can first make the code meet its functional requirements, and then after that, as a separate step, I can refactor the code to have a hopefully good design. Um, okay, I'm curious what you say to this, Srinath. Your question was, let's see, how do we articulate your question? Your question was, how do you design the code so it's easy to change in the face of unexpected change needs? What if I were to say, oh, testing, that's just the answer. That's the whole thing. There you go. What would you say to that?
I don't think that's the complete answer, but it's like probably a prerequisite to anything that would probably be required. Let's say refactoring, reconfiguring. Let's say I come up with a perfect design, but I also need confidence that that design, like it's gonna be a slow refactor, right? Let's say it's a big application. So testing will probably be the first thing which will give me confidence that okay, this refactor is working because let's say there are no tests or the test coverage is low, then yes, my refactoring could be good, but I could have possibly introduced a regression where I could be where I cannot figure out, okay, if a regression was there or not. So yes, I would say it is the answer and it is not the answer.
Yeah, maybe we could call it a necessary but not sufficient condition.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, okay. And I ask that in order to try to move us forward and get us deeper. Like, I would think, I would hope that if I gave that answer, you wouldn't be satisfied with it. And I'm curious, why would you not be satisfied with that? What feels missing?
Um, so couple of things, right? When we are trying to make code easier to, let's say, change, there are testing is one thing that is, as you said, necessary. But there are other factors that I'm probably optimizing for. Let's say my code is easier to understand. My code is probably broken down into its necessary classes, modules, whatever, right? So all of that is also something like code design in its own, like maybe this piece of attribute lives to its own table, maybe no, this needs to in the same table, whatever. So all of that is a consideration to be done. Maybe it's not the whole picture. So that's why I would say that I'm not satisfied with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still, testing
Yeah,
is
go
a
ahead.
big part of getting it right, isn't it? So yeah, as Jason, you were saying, it's not the necessary and sufficient condition, but get helping us achieve what we want to achieve. Testing is a huge part, isn't it? Maybe I would say even 60%, while a good design, fills most of the rest.
Yeah, yeah, definitely a huge part of it. Um, I think if I could sum up, I was actually thinking about this in the car the other day for whatever reason. Um, I think if I could sum up the most important part of the rest of it in one word, it would be abstraction. And obviously we're all familiar with the term abstraction, but I'm curious, Srinath, when you think about abstraction, what does that mean to you?
I essentially when I think of abstraction, at least like some a very high level point of view, I would think it just uh, think of it like a class name which will tell me okay what this class essentially does. I can make a reasonable guess. So I would say, okay, if I can read a class name and I can tell, okay, this is what the class does, then I believe I've achieved a reasonable level of abstraction. I have hidden, like whatever the class may do, I can at least read the class name, maybe the method name, and I can tell what it is supposed to do. So that is where I would say abstraction is a thing basically where we hide the details and just we can show the like an implementation can be guessed from its name or yeah, and that's where my mind goes. Probably the explanation was not very clear, but yeah.
No, I think that actually made a lot of sense. And I'm curious, Sanjeet, if you have a take on what your understanding of abstraction is.
But when you asked that question, first thing that came to my mind was, hiding the complexity.
Hmm.
That's what came to my mind. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely agree with what both of you guys said. Hiding the complexity, hiding the incidental details, and um, on the flip side of that, emphasizing the essential ideas. So again, uh, hiding the incidental details and emphasizing the essential ideas. I write a bit about abstraction in the testing book that I'm working on, Professional Rails Testing. And that's basically how I word it, is hiding the incidental details and emphasizing the essential ideas. Um, and I think like if you apply no other ideas in your code base, if you do a really good job of applying abstraction, then I think that gets a person such a long ways. Um, Again, with testing also, that's obviously very helpful to have that. But if you have good test coverage and good abstraction, then that's going to get you a long way. I was working with a consulting client on Friday, um, and they had a really interesting issue. It's a startup that deals with what I'll call car rentals. Um, and they have some behavior around billing where they need to measure certain usage metrics, like how far the customer has driven the car since the last measurement point or whatever. Um, and there were some really interesting details in there. Um, Detail isn't even really the right word. It's like there's just some weird stuff that happens. Like sometimes, for example, a car will report its mileage not in miles, but in kilometers. Um, Also sometimes the car will report just like an insanely huge number that like couldn't possibly be right. And so they have to do some things to check to see like, okay, is this like a crazy number that we're getting from the car, or is it like actually in the realistic range and all that stuff? And I think there were like at least three different cases that they had to check for. But when I just want to know how much the bill is, like I don't want to have to care about these incidental details of whether the mileage might have been reported in kilometers. That is a total distraction at that point. I don't want to know how the mileage is calculated. I just want to know what the mileage is. So I think that's a good example of an opportunity to apply abstraction to make the code easier to understand. And I think it matters less how the abstraction is achieved rather than that the abstraction is achieved. The abstraction could be achieved through objects, or it could just be achieved through different methods. I could see either one of those things working. Maybe one would be better than the other, but certainly either of those two would be better than not doing it at all. Um, let's see. I'm out of thoughts for the moment. So any thoughts on
Yeah.
that, Srinath?
Yeah, that seems like a reasonable place to like where we can see abstraction and action, but I don't have anything to add though.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, do you want to maybe get into some code?
Yeah, let's do that. Um,
Okay. Let me change the permissions so you're able to share if you want to do that.
yeah, I don't have any code to go over. Do we have something that we can look at? And
Sure, I can give you something.
sure.
I will email you something. Actually, Srinath, did I already email you? I don't think I did. Did I email you my book,
Yeah,
my like book manuscript? I did?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's take a look at that.
Wait. So I'll just share my screen of the book open.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. I just need to share one moment.
Hmm.
Mhm. Uh, any
Yeah.
specific
Oh, yeah,
page
this is the
you want to?
exact part that I wanted to look at.
Okay. Sorry.
So I think just a little bit further up, there was a list of specifications. Yeah. And maybe even go like 2 pages earlier because there's a
Okay.
couple diagrams. Yeah. So this mathematical expression parser program, for anybody who's been in the last few sessions or seen my last few videos, I've been working on this myself, building a program that will parse an expression. So I'm going to have us go through this, if that sounds good to you, Srinath.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay. And let's go down a little bit to where the specifications are listed. Yeah, here we go.
Okay.
Yeah, so for example, when the expression involves multiplication with an explicit operator like 2 times x, that first expectation there is that the root of the parsed expression is the time symbol. Um, so
Yeah.
how about this, Srinath? I'm actually I'm gonna give you no guidance or suggestions or anything like that. And I want
So,
you to just fulfill this first requirement however you can. Just use your normal coding style and stuff like that. And we'll see what you come up with. And maybe we'll proceed like that for a little bit and see where that gets us. And then maybe we can go back and do it in, well, let's start there and see where that gives us.
but so the root of the expression is a multiplication operator. For example, the expression 2 star x, the parsed expression root is star. Mhm. Okay. Mhm. So it is for 2x 5. Okay. 2x plus 5. It should be power of 2x. Okay. Okay, this is got it. All right. So, all right. I'll just, should I just open up my editor or how do
Yeah,
we want
sure.
to? Let me just share my editor. Right. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
So, I, let me, I have forgotten how to set this up.
Yeah. Yeah, and by the way, whenever I'm on one of these sessions or any kind of video session, my IQ drops by about 20 points.
Yeah, it's a very common thing, Yeah, I hate, doing coding on, real time.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's, yeah, I can totally see that happening. Let's see if this thing bundle. install- Okay, it worked. I am not completely wrong.
All
No.
right.
I will add one test file and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Question passwords. Yeah, sorry. So if I remember correctly, it is aspect describe. I don't remember what syntax is.
Yeah, you got
Uh,
it. Just rspec.describe.
not this, right?
Yeah, and then you can just put expression parser. I think it is going to want, yeah. Okay, and small
Oh,
correction,
yeah.
the S in RSpec, yeah. Okay.
It probably needs require or spec. Why is it unhappy? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll have to let's check if there is some other thing that I remember doing this. I just don't remember how I. Okay, the seems fine. Spec helper. Okay, I spec helper. Do we need the whole thing? Not really.
Sorry, what's that?
No, no, I was just thinking, is my other window visible or is it still on the,
Oh no, I can't see your other window.
oh, okay, I just opened a different project where I had the whole thing set up. Yeah, it's odd that it's, okay, it's probably gonna complain and still work. That's what my guess is at the point.
Okay.
So we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work, we will see the right expression. That's so at least the way of implementing the code I was thinking of, there would be a list of operators that we are gonna look for,
Okay.
and that's gonna be the place that's gonna be the root of the tree is what I was thinking.
Okay.
So let's assume operator equal to um, star minus slash and so then we are gonna do expression right. Yeah. So, uh, so I'm gonna assume the result is going to be the operator. Result, let's say expect result to equal
Okay. I'm not going to make any comments on your coding style or process or anything like that yet. But I do have to point out one small oversight. If you look at the specifications, it's
Right?
slightly different. The expectation is slightly different.
For the example, expression is 2 star x. The past expression's root is star. Okay, the result is not star. The root of the tree is star. Right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, so if you are gonna do, okay, hmm, so in that case, we are gonna return an expression object, sorry, which will have, let's say, a value root, and that should be star. I'm just thinking that should work. So, um, mm, version of equal.
Okay.
So I leave this here, and I think I'll probably go write some code.
Okay.
Maybe maybe not. This, uh, mm, mm, yeah. What would be a good name for all the parts of an expression? I'm trying to think of operators and numbers.
Yeah, good question. I had to ask ChatGPT about that one. The term it gave me was token.
Yep, we can leave the token. Token is this, and uh, operator is include tokens. We are trying to find which token has it. So let's say password pass uh, Okay, so we have this broken up correctly. So I just have to figure out which token has the root and okay. Um, expression. So I'm thinking, once we find out which operator is in the tokens array, then we will just create an expression object and assign it to root, and rest of them can be in the tokens array. So let me just check Ruby API
Okay.
for what works in the array section. Yeah, I've probably destroyed the TDD process, but I just wanted to make some progress here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's okay because I wanted us to go through it this way and then do it again my way and then
So
let you observe the differences and and kind of learn that way. Um, but yeah, okay, what do you think is next?
just trying for a method to find the operator. I'm
Okay.
just looking for it. So I want something which will give me the index of the operator. Not index. I want to, yeah, the index. So which one is, sorry, compared to the search elements. Okay. Mm, so that will be, uh, I one would imagine I would probably be able to guess a searching method immediately, but apparently not today.
Um, let's
Mm.
see. Well, there's the index method. You can do like dot index star. I'm not sure if that's what you're looking for.
But we don't know if it will be a star always, right? So I'm just trying to, um, yeah, then I guess we'll have to iterate through each two, and oh, then tokens dot index of operator, but it will return nil if it is nothing. If, uh, mm, mm, okay, so mm, okay, tokens dot let's see index of operator. Expression dot this is gonna with this and
All right. And whenever you feel ready to run the test, whether it passes or fails, I'm gonna have us switch methodologies.
oh yeah, it's running nothing at this point.
Oh, I think you just need a different command. RSpec expression.
Oh, right. Sorry,
Uh,
I was. It says one failure name uninitialized constant expression parser.
oh, I guess we're not including it. Okay, let's at least do that before we switch.
Yeah. Cannot load file expression parser.
Yeah, I think you want require relative.
Maybe not this. It will. Yeah, it's undefined method for an instance of expression.
Okay.
And yeah,
Okay. Yeah, so let's modify this and let's do it a bit of a different way. Um so I apologize if this is painful, but let's take expression parser.rb and just delete the entire thing. Okay. And then let's modify the test. Let's make the test even simpler. So let's kill the inside of that. And let's even kill the line that says let expression 2 times x. Okay. Yeah, and we can bring back that that said it parses the expression or whatever. Yeah, and I think the API you were going for is like expression parser.parse. So maybe we can say like expect expression parser.parse 2 times x.
expression parser dot path. Yeah,
Yeah, dot to equal times symbol multiplication operator.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And now let's run that and observe, of course, that it's going to fail.
yeah.
Okay. Yep. All right. So, question for you, Srinath. Why do you think I wanted us to write the test this way instead of the way that it was before?
This allows for us to this allows the test to drive the development and not me driving it.
Okay. But the other test allowed the test to drive the development too, didn't it?
Um, I mean, that test was assuming a lot of things. So this test is much simpler. So it just tells me, okay, what is the input and what is the expected output. So I can just like write a very simple method and then we can add on things on top of it. So
Okay. Yeah, you said the other test was assuming a lot of things. Maybe tell me if this agrees with what you were saying. Like this test is more agnostic as to the implementation.
yeah, right. This
Okay.
this doesn't care how it's implemented.
And why do you think that I wanted us to just hard code 2 times x there instead of having the let statement?
Um, we want to get it. That I'm not sure of. It's like,
Yeah, so the reason for that is because concrete things are easier to understand than abstract things. And so if we just put expect expression dot parse 2 times x to equals times, that way we can see everything right there. Whereas if we were to do expression dot parse expression, then it's a little more abstract. We have to be like, okay, expression dot parse expression. What's expression? Oh, okay, it's 2 times x. It's only a little bit of extra cognitive load, but it's not really necessary to have it. And so if we can get rid of that little bit of cognitive load, then why not? Okay. And then we ran the test, and in this go of it, I think we ran the test a lot earlier.
yeah.
And I think you know the answer to this one. Why do you think I had us run the test so early?
Uh, yeah, so it needs to fail fast. So like the first point of failure should be before we even write the code. So yeah,
Okay. What's the benefit of failing fast?
we will immediately know if there is something wrong. Sometimes we don't realize, like for example, uh, like it require relative in place of require. So
Mm-hmm.
we didn't realize till we ran the test. Okay, it required. So yeah, that would let us catch the thing before the whole thing is running, and we don't know what's causing the error.
Yeah, that's a great point. Um, okay. Now, in TDD, it's often taught that you want to write enough code to make the test pass. I don't think that's actually a good idea. I think it's better to write only enough code to make the current failure message go away. Any guess on why I think that?
Only the current failure message to go away. Got it. Um, hmm, so, so if let's say your test setup has three things wrong with it,
Hmm.
even before the test runs. So the first failure will tell us, okay, that's the first thing failing. We fix it. Then we get to the second one, and then so on and so forth. So
Okay,
is that
there's a little bit of a different reason. Um, you know, how much code do you think is necessary in order to get this test passing? Um, maybe, maybe more than one line. And so if we write enough code to make this pass, we might write more code than what's necessary, and we might write something that's more complicated than necessary to get the test to pass.
right?
Um, no offense, but the code that you wrote a minute ago was definitely more complicated than what was needed to get this test to pass.
So yeah,
Um, and if we write code that's that's either more complicated than what's needed or it's just more code than what's needed, then that's like extra baggage that we're going to have to carry around. It's an extra cost without any benefit.
right.
Okay, so now let's write just enough code to get this failure message to go away.
So okay, let's just run the thing. It says cannot load such a file. Okay, just add a file. says undefined method parse for class parser.
Okay.
So I can say that. Expected one argument, given zero, sorry, given one, expected zero.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll give it an expression. It does not match.
Okay. And then what's the simplest way we could get the test to pass now?
We just hard code the result we are looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's all we need. And now we can move on to the next specification. So let's take a look at what that next one is.
Oh wait, my thing is, sorry. I'll
Yeah,
just
no
share my
problem.
whole screen. Where is the so so the next one is the left child is the first operand, and for example, to X, the parsed for expression's first child is 2. Okay.
Okay. All right, let's write a test for that one.
Question. Let's hold the parts. X. I'm thinking we'll just return an array so that
Okay.
the first is the root and the second is the first child and second is the second child.
Okay.
That way we can at least. Okay. Undefined method array.
Oh yeah, I think we just have
Oh
the
yeah,
parentheses in the wrong
yeah.
spot.
Yeah. It says okay. The
Okay.
both expects should have failed. I'm not sure only by one is failing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I think it's okay to have like 0th element and first element, but I feel like it'd be nice to be able to just say dot root and dot left child. Probably be a little easier to understand.
yep, that would be much easier. So we'll do true child. So okay. Undefined method root for the instance of string. Okay. So we'll have to go fix that first.
Mm-hmm.
So there needs to be a root method for whatever we are returning, and that means it needs to be its own class.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna define an expression class. Sorry. For now, I'm just gonna assume we send the root so that
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I guess we don't need this. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just realized that 3 seconds after I wrote it. All right. So now we'll have to actually do the parsing though. All right.
Well, how about
So
this? Let's make life easy on ourselves. And how about let's comment out that second expression, or sorry, the second test.
yeah, got it.
Yeah, because otherwise we're like mixing the two jobs of refactoring and meeting this new requirement. So let's just worry about the
Yeah,
refactoring first.
got it. All right. So, mm, question.
Well, I don't think we even have to do that. We can just do expression.new star, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That would work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that works.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and if we want to go a little step further, because obviously we're not going to get away with hard coding this forever.
Mhm.
What would be like the simplest way to get this working and return a star? Well, I take that back. Let's just keep it the way it is and keep it as simple as it has to be. Okay, yeah, let's uncomment that other test and run it and see what we get.
It says undefined method first child for expression.
Okay.
So the easiest way would be to just do this, and
Yeah, we can hard code that too.
we can get very far with hard coding things.
Yeah.
Wait, it's unhappy. Oh, right. Forgot to do that. Yeah.
Okay. And then
Might
I
as well
think
add
the
the third
sorry.
expect for the second child.
Yeah. Let's see, it was 2 times x, so we would expect the second child to be x.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now we can force this all to be real if we add some additional test cases for how about division
Right.
and
So,
different numbers too. So like,
yeah.
y divided by 5 or something like that.
So I'll just change this whole thing, or do you want me to add a different test for it?
Let's add a different test and actually let's, if we add a different test, what would that look like? Would it just say it parses the expression successfully again?
Yeah,
Um,
that's what.
so let's maybe clean up these descriptions a little bit. Um, each of these expectations, it's like a little bit of a different thing. Um, First, we're checking for the multiplication operator, then we're checking the first child, then the second child. I think this is actually 3 different tests. So what if we say for the first one, we can put a description on it. We can say it it has times as the root or something like that, or has a root of times. Okay. Yeah, and
Okay.
then we can make a separate it block for first child and second child. Okay, see you later, Sanjeet. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, bye. That's why this was unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's
Okay, why don't we see if those still pass? Okay.
all part.
Okay, and in this describe block, we could maybe even be more specific too. We could say explicit multiplication operator, since that's the scenario we're testing.
Passes from the star x expression. I'm not sure if I'm doing it right.
Well, the scenario we're testing is an explicit multiplication operator, as in 2 times x, rather than like a without an explicit multiplication operator, like 2x.
Got it.
Yeah, so
So
I think it makes sense to.
an expression with an explicit um, operator. Is that
Yeah. Yeah, great. Okay. Yeah, now we can copy paste that whole thing and just change everything to division.
mm, that's fine. Y, this should be y,
Mm-hmm.
this should be slash.
And just one minor thing, with multiplication, you can have an explicit multiplication operator or not one, but with division, it's always present. There's no way to do division
Yeah,
without it.
there's no
Yeah.
way to, yeah, yeah. Describe, yeah, looks good. I'll just run the tests. Yeah,
Okay.
everything. Oh, it still says, oh yeah,
Oh, yeah. Good
yeah.
catch. All right. Yeah, let's take a look at those failures.
Expression with slash operator has slash as the root for the expression. Has
Mm-hmm.
failed as the control. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, can we look at the failure messages?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay. Yeah. And that's what you would expect, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Let's work on getting those passing.
So, okay. So, so now we'll have to actually do the thing.
Or do we?
We
Is there
have
a
to, because
simpler way
we
we
have,
could get the test to pass?
um,
What
uh,
about root is expression 0, first child expression, or no, sorry, root expression 1, first child expression 0, second child expression 2.
sorry, I didn't catch that.
You know how with a string you can
Oh,
append it?
yeah.
Yeah, so we could
So,
do root is expression 1 and so on.
oh, yeah. The, so we can do, yeah, we can do that. So in that case, we just need to move this around. Yeah. So we can just do tokens. expression dot split, and I think there is a splat operator, right, which sends all
Yeah.
of these things. I expression dot split and
And
use
then
again.
splat the split.
So double star. I forgot how this works, or is it a
Yeah, I
single
don't
star?
remember either. I think it's single splat. I could be mistaken though.
Yeah, it's probably single. I can't remember. Yep.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, and by the way, look how much farther you've gotten with so much less code.
Yeah, and it works for this scenario. It also, it's not even. Yeah,
Yeah. So, yeah, we can just go through these scenarios doing the absolute minimum that we can do to get by. I've gone through this myself, and so I know that it gets a lot harder soon, but no reason to take on that harder stuff any earlier than you need to, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
No reason not.
All right. Well, I feel like this is probably a pretty good place to end this first session. I think you have my scheduling link, right, Srinath?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so feel free to grab another time. I would love to do this again with you. And in the time between now and then, obviously you can feel free to continue in this way and see how far you can get and stuff like that. Or you can just leave it where it is and we can pick back up at this same spot next time, however you want to do it. Um, a quick,
I think I'll do a couple of
uh,
sessions on my own, like a couple parts of it, so that I'll probably I want to do some of it on my own. So I'll let's see how it goes.
yeah, okay. Okay, and a quick message from our sponsor. Dear viewer, this kind of stuff is one of the things that I do for consulting. As I kind of mentioned earlier, I'm working with a team right now. There's a startup with like, I don't know, 30 developers or something like that. I'm working with them doing stuff like this, teaching TDD, and then we're looking at not just scratch projects like this, but we're looking at their actual production code too. You know, I mentioned that like mileage calculator and stuff like that. Um, I'm also later this year, I'm gonna go across the state to University of Michigan and teach a 2-day in-person class on TDD and OOP with them. And so this is what I do for a living. So dear viewer, if you're interested in learning more about that, you can go to codewithjason.com and I have a link there that says consulting and it says how you can get a hold of me and stuff like that. Well, Srinath, thanks a lot for coming here and doing this, and I really enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.
Thanks a lot.
All
And
right.
you were right when you said if someone watches you, your IQ drops 20 points.
Sorry. Oh,
You
yeah,
you were
yeah,
right.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, it always happens to everybody. Yeah, so maybe you'll have a little bit more, maybe you'll have an easier time when you're doing it without the pressure of it being on video and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
All
right.
right.
Well, good
Thank
luck, and I'll talk to you later.
you. Yeah.
Bye.